Welcome to yoga. So nice to see you all. Sit up tall through your spine. Take a moment to turn your gaze low or close the eyes. And bring all awareness to your breath. This month, our mantra is simple. It is be present. Simple in its words, perhaps more difficult. In the way that we actually motivate, in the way that we actually live the mantra. Be present. Take in the inhale. Stay with your exhale. Tuck the chin to your chest. Rock your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then chin back to your chest, left ear to left shoulder. Go once more back, right ear to right shoulder, and then pause there. Take the left fingertips out to the side. And the right hand on top of the left ear for a little extra extension. Bring both hands back to the thighs, chin to chest, left ear over towards the left shoulder. Walk right fingertips out and take the left hand on top of the right ear for that little extra extension. Bring both hands back to the thighs and again chin to chest. And then lift the chin and open your eyes back up. Let's come over to all fours. As you switch to all fours, bring hands under the shoulders, knees underneath the line of the hips. And we'll do cat and cow. Pull the chest forward and through, eyes and tailbone up to the sky. And then exhale, press down through hands and knees around the back and drop the head. Move back and forth here. Nice and steady, create the pace that feels good to you. And today our pose focus is one hand arm pose. It's a bit of an arm balance. It's also a hip opener. You'll see lots of things coming through for strengthening in arms and abdomen, as well as expansion and stabilization in the hips. It kind of all comes together. Okay, downward facing dog. Tuck the toes and lift your hips. Here in down dog, give your head a little bit of a shake and then pedal out through your feet. And find a still position. Press evenly down and forward through the hands. Thighs back, heels down towards the ground. They don't have to touch, just getting them to reach back and down. Take in several breaths. And then come down to child's pose, knees to the ground, big toes together, press your hips back. So a very active child's pose. Keep reaching your arms out in front of you. Lift your forearms, elbows, upper arm bones to the sky. Walk both hands over to the right side. Enjoy a reach out to the left fingertips as you tack the left hip back towards the left heel. That tug of war action, some reach out and some pull back. Walk the hands across the center, on over to the second side. Reach out to the right fingertips, pull back on the right hip. And again, walk the hands back into the middle. Rise to all fours. And then shift your right foot forward into a low lunge. Hands can stay on the inside of the foot or try it hands on either side. Let's lift the back knee up so we're in our full low lunge. And go a little back and forth here. Straighten and bend the front leg. We're really just looking for movement, some opening here. Leg doesn't have to go all the way straight. We're just getting into dynamic stretch and opening. And then settle in to the lunge, knee over the line of the ankle. Lift the back leg higher so that you can further engage muscle to the bone. Keep the back heel forward over the toes. And let's add the twist. Right hand up to the sky. Twisted lunge here. All of this are pretty typical opening from me, allowing us to find our place on the mat today. Familiar poses, bringing in a sense of presence. Lower the right hand to the inside of the foot. Spin your back heel down, down dog lunge. So we try to line up heel to heel, and then walk the hands out. Hands don't have to be weighty here. We're going to keep the weight pushed back into the left leg in particular, the back leg. And broaden the right knee away from the right shoulder. Big hip opener right off the bat here. It'll pay off for us as we continue in this practice. And then walk the hands back in, lift your back heel. So we've rotated to the low lunge. Drop the back knee to the floor and straighten the right leg. Kick the hips back, looking for that hamstring stretch. You can flex the front foot, pull the toes back towards you to really engage through the calf as well. Hands are higher as needed or to the inside, whatever works best. And that's always your job. You're your best teacher. Change up, find the ways the pose can work for you. Okay, from here, around to all fours. Let's get into the other side. So if you walk the hands a little to the right, some space to swing that left foot around. Let's try hands on either side. Back knee up. And knowing we're doing that shift back and forward, if that creates more space to bring the hands on the inside of the foot, you can try that. Just looking to get in a little ease.
Mommy, look at me out.
Oh, you look so cute. Okay, right fingertips stay down. Lift the left arm up to the sky. I think that might have been one of my old dresses, if I'm not mistaken. Where'd she get that? All right, left hand down, spin the back heel to the floor. Again, you're lining up heel to heel. And walk the hands out for down dog lunge. Steady, long breath here. Okay, let's walk the hands in. Lower the back knee to the ground and shift the hips back. Hamstring stretch. The flex of the foot is going to pull into a calf stretch as well. That one's somewhat difficult sometimes. The hands up on the hips can create more ease, so now you've got to work in more balance and control in the abdomen if you're higher up. Okay, let's take it around to all fours. And then everybody stretch back to downward facing dog. Big full stretch. Look towards your hands and slowly walk up to the front of the mat. As you walk to the front of your mat, think ragdoll pose there. Bend the knees, hold on to your elbows, and sway a little bit from side to side. And take a slow roll up to standing. Roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times. Roll the shoulders forward and down a couple of times. And then stand in mountain pose. Feet can be hip distance apart or closer together. Arms down by your side. I always like to turn the gaze inward. Whatever works for you. Find a steady stance here for 2 more breaths. Okay, reach the arms up to the sky. 3 rounds of Surya Namaskar A, our Sun Salutation A. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Hands can go to the thighs or to the shins. Step it back to plank. Top of our push-up. Then control one line flat down to the yoga mat. Untuck the toes. Cobra, press through the top of the feet and the hands. Peel your chest up. Think upper back bend here. Squeeze the elbows in. Stay with it. And then change to child's pose. From child's pose, change to downward facing dog. That's an extra transition there. I always like the pause in child's pose first because it gets us into the long arms, long spine before we come back up. Okay, look to the hands, walk, step, jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Go again. Inhale, lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower down to the mat. Cobra. Peel the chest up. Transition to downward facing dog. Pause and down dog for 3 breaths. And again, step, walk, jump to the front of the mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand, lift the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Keep going. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step back to plank. Lower down to your yoga mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. and change to downward facing dog. Make your way to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms overhead. And bring palms together, center of the chest. Okay, look straight ahead. Take the arms back up. Turn the palms in towards each other. Little bend in the knees. Keep your right foot forward and step back to a high lunge. So right foot forward, left foot back, high lunge. Squeeze the glutes, inner thighs, in towards the midline of the body. Fully straight up and down here. And then try this. Scoot your back foot back 2 inches further. Imagine stretching your right knee more forward, your left heel more back. And then bring the hands to the hips and step it all the way back up to the front of the mat. Second side, lift the arms up towards the sky, keep the left foot forward, and step the right foot back. Ooh. I'm a little wobbly, falling off balance. That happens, you just bring it back in. And start with that full stride, and then a little extra stride. Just squiggle the back toes back. Keep squaring off the hips. So left hip moves back in space, right hip more forward in space. Tone in the abdomen, we've got this. Hands can come to the waist to make it a little easier to shift back up to the front of the mat. Okay, close the distance between your feet. Lift both arms up to the sky. Can you make the palms touch and cross at your thumbs? Reach a little taller, like let the shoulders shrug high. Take the hands to the right and push your hips to the left. Squeeze your glutes. Long reach to the side of the body, and then come back to the center and do the exact same thing to the second side, up and over. Chest open, hips open, and inhale, come back to the center. Release the arms. Good, we're gonna try to do the exact same thing, but inside plank. Do downward facing dog. So from downward facing dog, balance on your right hand, the outer edge of your right foot. And then you have a choice. Step the left foot forward like a kickstand, or stack it on top of the right foot like you just did in mountain pose. Okay, left arm up to the sky. Then thinking of that arch that we just did, can you take the left arm overhead so your inner arm bone, kind of deltoid, close to your ear. And then push your hips a little bit higher up towards the sky by pressing your right hand a little down and forward on your yoga mat. Arch of side plank. And then left hand goes back down and change to downward facing dog. There is the option to start with the bottom knee down rather than the outer edge of the foot. I'll show you that option for the second side, but go left hand, outer edge of the left foot. If you're looking for a different option, you can go left knee down to the ground and keep your right leg on the floor. And then everybody right hand up, turn palm towards that short front side of the yoga mat and reach overhead. Here, trying to get the rib cage to kind of expand up towards the sky. And then it all goes back, downward facing dog. Now bend your knees a lot and walk your hands backwards to your feet. Hands to your waist, point your elbows up to the sky, and come on up to standing. Chair pose is next. I like to have my feet hip distance apart for this. They could certainly go closer if you like that. Arms overhead. Bend the knees, sit into the thighs. Utkatasana. It's called chair pose. Also, I call this power pose. Utkatasana, utka, really translates as a fierce. So fierce, powerful, steady pose. Lift, lift, lift in the upper arms. Look straight ahead or even up in between the hands. And stand back up. Hands to the waist. So from the back edge of our mat, look towards the front and take a step forward to your lunge. Right foot to the top of the mat. Yeah. Good. Lower the back knee down. Squeeze front heel down and pull it back. Back knee down and pull it forward. And then let the hips move a little more down and forward. So here, if we've got those two flat points, back knee, front foot, flat on the ground, and your hips allow for enough release, stretch the front of the left hip flexor, that front knee goes past the line of the ankle, fine. Just keep the right foot flat on the ground, knee still over the center of the foot. Interlace your hands behind your back. Squeeze the elbows in. Keeping that, stretch the arms straighter to lift and open in the upper back. And then release. Hands on either side of the front foot. Lift the knee. Step it back. Downward facing dog. Bend the knees, walk the hands backwards. Another fierce pose, Utkatasana, second time, but this time, as you sit into the thighs, take the arms about as high as the ears and lean a little forward in the torso. Can you sit even a little lower in the legs? You've got just one more breath for it. Stand up, arms to the sky, and bring the hands to the waist. Look towards the front edge of the yoga mat. Ready for our big step forward. We'll bend in the knees. Left foot. Okay, let's go for it. Oh, big step. Square off the hips. Lower the back knee down to the floor. As much as you feel everything pulled up, kind of zipped up towards the top of the head, also let things move a little down and forward. And then again, clasp the hands behind your back. This is a little silly thing, but the second favorite finger in front this time. Just changes things up, gets us, I think, a little more aware, a little more present in the moment for the pose when it's slightly awkward. Okay. Let's try that back bend again. Stretch the arms straighter. Lift, 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 chest up, heart up. And release the hands either side of the front foot. Step it all the way back. Downward facing dog. From here, lift the right leg up and back, three-legged dog. Bend your right knee and point the knee more up towards the sky, the foot closer towards the left side of the mat. As the hips rotate and open, torso does so a little bit as well. But don't let the left shoulder sink down. Try to lift underneath the left armpit to keep the chest, shoulders, hands all square down to the mat. Okay, change it here. Pull the right knee in towards the chest. This is tricky. Can you open the right knee up towards the right shoulder? And then back in and to plank pose. Lower your knees for just a moment. Sit back on your heels. Take a full breath in. Kind of recovering strength. Exhale. Press it out. And then right into the second side. Downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up and back. Bend the knee. Point the knee more towards the sky, the foot closer to the right side of the body. And again, it's going to open the hips, open across belly and torso a little bit. But then can you stay square by lifting underneath the right armpit now to keep shoulders, hands, chest all squared down to the mat. Okay, this is a long hold. Stick it out with me. Left knee forward and into the chest. Bottom knee could go down for a little more control here. Take the left knee up and out to the side. Oof, that one's hard. Pull it back in and then back to plank pose. Knees down, off of the hands. Sit back on your heels. Breath in. Breath out. Take a little twist over towards the right. And a little twist to the left. Okay. Change here to come upright. Stand all the way up. Just however you want to get there. And then take a wide-legged stance. Use the length of your yoga mat. Turn to one edge. Point the toes straight ahead, your heels straight back. Good. Wide-legged forward fold. Find your hands to the ground. Knees can bend to get it there. Try to walk the hands in towards the line of your feet. And then send the head down towards the mat as well. Once you've kind of found those points, head down towards the mat, hands and feet on the mat. Then go for straighter legs as possible. Lean your weight more forward so you feel it more in your toes, like you would topple or somersault forward before you would do that backwards. Hopefully we're not doing either. Lift up on your kneecaps. Really try to tone the muscle on the front of the thigh further onto the bone. Can you imagine that? And that strength or that tension, you could say, on the front side of the legs inhibits more stretch, more safe stretch down the back of the legs. You're here for a moment more. And then safely come back upright. I bend the knees to do that myself, hands to the waist, and come up. Keep your feet wide, extend the arms out. You can really choose either side. I'm going to turn my right toes out. Gaze out over the right fingertips. And bend the right knee for warrior two. And just like we kind of adjusted and moved in and out of that first low lunge, do that for a couple of breaths and then kind of find your steady point. Move from that dynamic stretch more into the static stretch, which might seem still on the outside, even though we know there's still a lot of movement internally. Little changes. Here, take the front elbow to the front thigh and reach the top arm overhead. Palm down, side angle pose. Tone and turn the abdomen as you turn the chest to the side or even up to the sky. And then come all the way back to warrior two. Torso upright. Straighten the first leg. Turn the toes and turn the second side out. Bend the knee. Warrior two on the second side. There's a tendency to want to kind of dump down into the legs and into the low back and push the hips a little forward here. Instead, think of widening the thighs out, back, and apart, and dropping the tailbone down towards the midline of the body. Straight down, not forward. And then try side angle pose. It's that same elbow to the front thigh, top arm overhead. Nicely done. Inhale, come back to warrior two. Straighten both legs, turn the toes, and heel toe it all the way in. A little bit of a shake. Great, come on up to the front end of your yoga mat. From here, take your right foot onto the left leg for tree pose. It could be down along the ankle, a little higher on the calf, or all the way above the knee to your thigh. Of course, you could also move your body to be able to touch a wall or chair, something to hold your balance a little more steady, or be okay with a little wobble. Okay, let's try to take our arms up to the sky. Think of that long side plank, that little arch that we did earlier. Can you take palms together? If both hands are free and palms are together, can you also lean towards the right knee just a little bit, hands towards the right, creating that little crescent shape in the side of the torso? A lot to ask, I know. Come back to the center. Arms down, leg down. Okay, second side knows a little bit more about where it's going, so you might choose to pick a lower height than that tree leg, but bring the left foot onto the right leg, where you're like, nope, I'm going all the way for it. Listen to what feels good for you in this present moment. You want the challenge. Arms overhead, palms together. Can you flip that second favorite thumb in front? Point the knee as much out to the side and the toes down to the floor as possible. And then maybe add that little crescent. Lean the hands more towards the left knee, the lifted knee. Ooh, it gets windy when that happens, right? Okay, and then we come all the way back into the center and lower the leg. Give it a little shake. Fold forward. Keep the right foot forward, step your left foot back. Here we start to get even more intently into the prep for our one arm leg pose. Both hands to the inside of your foot. And then I want you to take up the room on your yoga mat. So you'll heel toe the right foot over to the right edge and hop your left foot over to the left edge. So my feet are kind of at a diagonal from one another, and I'm really using the entire width of my yoga mat. Come on down, back knee to the floor, flat palms. Like you're doing little baby push-ups, can you bend and straighten your elbows here? And when you find your low point, can you also change down to your forearms? This might be flat against your mat. If you're working with a yoga block, you have it handy. Maybe the yoga block is slid underneath your forearms here. But if there's no block in sight, simply stay on your hands and a little lift of the forearms, finding your end range. And then crawl back up to the hands. Let's lift the back knee. Heel toe the right foot a little more in, left foot a little more in. So there's more ease in squeezing muscles in towards the midline of the body. Okay, now can you duck your right shoulder to the line or under the right thigh. Take your arms out like airplane wings. I keep fingertips on the floor just so I still have a closed chain, 2 feet, all 10 fingers touching the ground. Squeeze your right knee into your right upper arm and shoulder. For all intensive purposes, this is our pose. You feel the leg against your arm, the arm against your leg. One arm, leg pose. We're going to do it in a few different variations. This one's first. Breathe with it. And then walk the hands back out. Step the left foot all the way forward. We're using stability as we use stretch and flexibility. It all works together. Okay, left foot stays forward and step your right foot back. First, go for that really wide stance. Hands to the inside. Heel toe the left foot over to the left edge of your mat. Hop the right foot over to the right edge. I'm using as much of the front to back of my mat and side to side width of the mat. Lower the back knee down. You're going to flat palms. Keep your front knee and your toes pointed straight ahead. Don't let it turn out here. Straight ahead. And then it's like those little baby push-ups. And I always work progressively, right? So the stage that comes before the hold is this movement of the little push-ups. And then we go into the hold. So you can take the hold or not. If it works, all the way down to the forearms on the ground or underneath a block. Cool. And then walk it back up to the hands, straight arms, lifted chest. Pop the back knee up. And now we're working a little closer in. I am no longer using the whole width of the mat, just hip distance apart in the feet. Try to dip the left shoulder now down, down, down. A lot of times I use like the horseshoe, the thumb and first finger behind my front heel to really lock in a little bit more. And walk the hands out in either direction. A lot of you have heard me say like that front leg is like a backpack strap. You're trying to hook it as high onto the upper arm bone and shoulder as possible there to equally distribute the weight. Think of how much harder it is to carry a backpack when it's sloped down the middle of your arms, lower on your back. Okay, and then we walk it back in. And walk the front foot up. All 10 fingers still on the ground. Closed chain work there. Make the legs as straight as they go, leaving the fingertips on the ground. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Okay, bring the hands to the waist. Point the elbows to the sky. Push down into your feet and come all the way up to standing. Utkatasana, bend the knees, sit into the thighs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower down to your yoga mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. Change to downward facing dog. So this is our Surya Namaskar B, Sun Salutation B. Step the right foot forward to your lunge. Spin the back heel down to the mat. Come upright, torso, arms to the sky. Warrior One. Virabhadrasana Eka. Lower the hands around the front foot. Step back again. You can always hold plank here. Continue through the flow. It's down to the mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. Back to downward facing dog. And then step the left foot forward, spin the back heel down. Line up about heel to heel. Come upright, vertical in the torso, arms vertical to the sky. One more breath. Lower the hands down. Step back. All the way to the mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. And downward facing dog. Look forward to the hands. Step, jump, walk to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Chair pose, Uttanasana. Stand up, palms together or down by your side. Take in a couple of breaths. Present right here, this moment. Okay, from here, open the eyes if not already. I'm going to take the arms straight out in front. I'm actually just transitioning all the way to sit down on the ground, but I want to do that with a little bit of a challenge. Lift your heels up off of the ground. Can you tone in the abdomen here? And then start to bend the knees. Sit your butt down towards your heels. Lower, lower, lower. Heels stay lifted. Control the whole way. Okay, you choose how you get all the way down to the mat now. Sit down and lift your feet back up for boat pose. Knees can be bent or legs straight, arms out either side. Try to be more forward on the sits bones, knowing that we're gonna roll back a little bit. We've got this pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gauge your space. Can you roll all the way back? In any case, find your way down onto your back. Pull the knees close into the chest. And because of what comes next, I really do want you to try to get as much of a squeeze here as possible. Sometimes it means like massaging out through belly, getting a little bit of a pulse in for a moment, and then lift the head and shoulders up. You wrap the legs to hold up elbows. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze in. This deep flexion in the hip joint, the hip flexor. And then lower it back down. Set the sole of your left foot on the ground and flex the right foot up towards the sky. Half happy baby, or like you're lying on your back to do a lunge here. We're gonna go right elbow to the inside of the leg, but try to hold on to the outside pinky toe side of your foot. Okay, and then you gotta kind of clear the torso and try to get the right thigh closer to the ground. Now, if I let my whole body just lean over, the right thigh can come all the way down. But instead of the left seat being way off the floor and the right seat on the ground, can you even that out a little bit? So stay pretty even across the low back and get the right thigh simply as low as it wants to go or can go towards the mat at the same time. This is another look at that one arm leg pose. Stretch the left leg straight. And then set the left sole of the foot back on the ground and swing your right heel closer to the left side of the body. As you swing the heel over, lift head and shoulders up again so that you can kind of try to cradle your right shin under your forearms. If that is working, more challenge still, go to the eye of the elbow, the crease of the elbows, around the foot and knee. I'm trying to square off right foot on top of left shoulder, and then lay down and stretch out the left leg. Again, progressively speaking, so you're doing as many of those stages as makes sense. In order. Okay, and then we let it all go back, sole of the feet to the ground, drop the head. Okay, let's try it on the second side. So it's like half happy baby or like lying on our back in a lunge. Whatever those visualizations works best for you. Arm to the inside of the left leg, but hold on to the pinky toe side of the foot. And again, it's like we're trying to press the left thigh down onto the floor while the foot is still trying to press up towards the sky. A little tug of war action. But don't let the hip come all the way off. Try to stay pretty even and stretch the right leg straight. Tons of work right there. Super good for us. Okay, and then we're going to go sole the right foot back on the ground, lift the shoulders and swing the left foot towards the right shoulder side of the body. Try forearms hooked under the left calf. Or bend to the elbows around your knee and foot. More challenge, stretch the right leg straight and try to lie the head and shoulders back down onto the mat. And then come on out of your pose. I like to do my knees like windshield wipers, side to side here a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to rock ourselves up to a seated position. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Flex your feet, point the toes and knees straight up to the sky. Lift both arms up, vertical like an L shape in the body. Perfect, and then just close off that L. Think more acute angle. Suck the navel back in towards the spine. That's the work you're going to need to do next as well. Let the arms find your feet or legs and fold more over. Think rainbow shape in the spine, so a nice even bend. And come on back upright. Okay, like we did lying down on our back, we're going to grab the right foot, arm to the inside, hand to the outside, in that half happy baby, but now you're sitting up. Good. Remember that backpack strap? We're going to try to wear the leg as high on the shoulder as you can. And it might take a little bit of work. And this is a stage, holding it, both hands on the leg, helping you prep. Next stage, hands down, and now you're going to round forward a little bit. Look down at your mat or down at your left heel. 2 hands on the ground. Okay, let's give it all we got. We're going to squeeze the right leg in to the right arm. Right arm presses out towards the right leg, and at the same time, can you lift your butt off of the ground? Hands can stay down, heel can stay down. Lift your butt up. And then let your seat go back down. Lean back a little bit, lift your heel off of the ground. Mostly we can get this one. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze in. Good. Remember all that rocking back and forth we've done in class? Can you rock back and forth a little bit here? And maybe one of those rocks gets you into the static stage of both your butt and your heel up at the same time. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower it down. Reach the legs back out. Stretch. Woohoo! Let's see what happens on the other side. Half happy baby. You're holding on. Arm to the inside, hand to the outside of the foot. Pull it back. Okay. Once we've found that, I like to lift the heel up higher. And with the heel up higher, then it's dipping that shoulder down. And all the grunts, all the groans, like you're on mute, so you can be as loud as you want. And it's a hook here. You're like clamping the heel down. An arm pressure pose means there's pressure of the leg onto the arm and the arm back out onto the leg. Always those tug of war actions happening. Press down through your hands and heel to lift your seat. Seat down, lean back, lift your heel. Can you rock back and forth a little bit? Find your static hold best you can. We've got this. We can do it. Hard, hard things. Open to us and lower it down. Stretch both legs out. Super good. You've done the hardest part. Lift your hands up to the sky. Rainbow fold over. One thing about a 60-minute practice rather than a 75 is I don't have time to make you do that 2 more times. You might think that's a good thing. Okay, come back up so that you can lay all the way back down. Lie all the way back down. Knees into chest. Give it that good squeeze in again. Nice little counter. Soles of the feet to the mat. Okay, so we're going into bridge pose. Now, would he use that same sort of stabilization and squeeze in the hips in bridge pose that you just did? So imagine your inner thighs, and sometimes I actually place a block right between the inner thighs. They've got to squeeze in. And that's going to give you those strong stabilizers through the outer hip. So abductors working to give stabilization to the adductors. And let's lift up. The squiggle ears working so the adductions always can be safe. Lift the hips up, up, up. Place the hands underneath you. Shoulders in. The hips down to the ground. Pull the knees into the chest again. Take your hands out to a T shape. If that's tight in your space or you prefer it, bend at the elbows like goalpost arms. Both knees go over to the right side in a supine twist. Bring the knees across the chest. Set them down to the second side. And then bring it all back into the middle. This is your opportunity. A little last movement. Sort of unwind. Is there another pose that you'd like to fit in? Are you ready for Shavasana? You could go right to it. I'm going to take a figure 4 stretch. One more little hip opener here. But yogi's choice. If you do one side, do the other. All right. And then stretch the legs out, arms out by your side. Find your still point here. And we want to be as still as possible along every layer of the body. I've learned to be still in my body and still in my mind. I need at least one thing to do. If you relate to that, make that one thing counting the length of your inhale and your exhale so that everything else can be quiet, everything else can be still. Be present as you are. Stay there. Friends, you are more than welcome to extend this time for yourself in Shavasana. For those that are ready, little movement in fingers and toes. And then take your time to come all the way back to a seated position. And coming to that seated position, draw palms together, thumbs to your sternum, and Anjali Mudra. This our gesture of offering the presence of this practice, this time on our mat, into the rest of the day. And I like to make that offering through the sound of Om. You're welcome to sing along with me, to listen, or to completely tune it out. Empty out the breath here, and then take a deep breath in. bow in full gratitude to you, to each other, and for this practice. Thank you. Namaste.